I got so many bees buzzing around all over the place. They're working so hard. I got little bees, big bees, all sorts of bees. But, I started this morning and I wanted to see what does Incest Succubus got to say. She's got that photo of her father holding her by the crotch while she's making goofy lips as her happy birthday or happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you so much. Okay, I want you guys to understand that she's a psycho, and she loves having control over her father. But anyways, Jason Sullivan, I was checking in on what that mental deficient was up to. Okay, because I feel like his mental deficiency is indicative of a larger subset of mental deficiency. And if his can start to be alleviated just a little tiny bit, then it bodes well for the broader wanton mental deficiency present in the world. Okay? So, Jason Sullivan. Some people know I talk about this a lot because it matters. And it matters not just to me, it matters to Rosh HaKodesh. Now, despite a lot of people's rhetoric in pretending to be opposed to non-consensual mutilation and to pretend to be opposed to genital mutilation against minors, I want you all to understand that we live in a satanic culture in which over 50% of all baby boys born are subjected to non-consensual satanic ritual infant genital mutilation shortly after birth, called circumcision of the flesh. Okay? And people are programmed to just think this is acceptable, and they just go with it. And you have a whole bunch of men in the world who have no concept even of what it is like to have a foreskin because they were mutilated as a baby, who think that they should continue to promote this against their sons, and that their sons should not be allowed to decide what to do with their own bodies when they come of age, in which they're able to actually volunteer themselves by choice or not for such an operation. Okay? Infant genital mutilation is satanic, and it's of Baal's beast system. Okay? Yahweh is Baal, is Molech, and he is deranged and self-loathing. Okay? If you look at Genesis, when Molech is telling his people to commit satanic infant genital mutilation against their sons to mark themselves as being of his people, he's also telling them to be sure to mark the babies that they purchase as their slaves also with infant genital mutilation, and all the people that they purchase as slaves. Okay? Molech promotes slavery and deranged infant genital mutilation and worse. Okay? And a lot of you who are not maybe of the synagogue of Satan, but you're still Satanists and you worship an Antichrist, and you think that having water splashed on you as you declare an Antichrist as God in an attempt to usurp Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, from her own creation. A lot of you all, even though you will say with your rhetoric that, oh, well, my God he just used to be a deranged infant genital mutilationist, and he doesn't command us to do that anymore. But you know what? We just do it anyways because we're sick freaks who only pretend to oppose infant mutilation. Okay? The disgust that you all try to convince yourselves that you have for the deranged progressivist mutilationists who are trying to promote perversion amongst our youth, okay? You all most of you only pretend to have that outrage and disgust because most of you are complicit in this society that commits satanic infant genital mutilation against more than half of all the vulnerable, innocent, self-defenseless baby boys. Okay? What sort of duty do parents have to their children? And instead, they are complicit in mutilating their infants. You know, I even had one retard on Zero Hedge accuse me of being a man who has been mutilated, and she was mocking me and ridiculing me publicly because she thought that I was a man who was upset about having been mutilated against my will. She thought this person who, like many of you, only pretends to be opposed to mutilation against minors was mocking and ridiculing me. Okay? And as a woman in this modern lifetime, I have my clitoral hood intact, and I cannot fathom what it would be like to not have that. But you know what? There are societies that cut that off. They cut actually off the whole thing. Okay? There have been societies, they just cut that whole thing off of women when they're little baby girls. There's been societies that they sew baby girls closed. Okay? There has been societies that they don't just cut the part of the junk off of the eunuchs, okay? They would cut all of it off, even though something like 90% of all the males that were subjected to that would bleed out to death. To them, it was worth it to have eunuchs that had no genitals whatsoever. Okay? And you know, frankly, Bale's beast system would like to go back to that, where, you know, they want to make procreation a transhumanist thing with their little artificial wombs and their artificial, like, conception, and sex will be relegated as a privilege to the very few, whilst being pushed on the public as being an outdated, sinful behavior to engage in. And a lot of you men right now that think it's stupid and silly and funny, no, that is a world where they would like to go to, where about 99% of you do not have any of your male parts at all. Okay, and you may think that's absurd, but I'm just telling you how it is. They want to be able to go transition to a world where 99% of you men do not have any male parts whatsoever, because they want to completely control reproduction. And only certain people will be authorized to reproduce. Okay? So some of you say, well, this doesn't matter. The fact that you're slicing over half the baby boys against their will doesn't matter. Well, it sure does, and it is a slippery slope, and it's satanic culture, and you all need to straighten out. Okay? Because Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, true Creator, God Most High, Mother of us all who birthed creation, true Creator, God Most High, did not design the foreskins to shrivel up and fall off after birth. Okay? So all of you Baalists who actually worship Moloch, aka Yahweh, you are so stupid and delusional and deranged that you tell yourselves that your false God, who is an anti-creator, okay, who works constantly in defiance of true Creator God Most High, Ruach HaKodesh's design, you delude yourselves and tell yourselves that your false God left, who is supposedly the Creator, in your fucked up, logical, backwards ass circular, like, you don't know, you guys are so dumb. I just don't even know how you come up with this logic. But you tell yourselves that your supposed Creator is so deranged that he supposedly left the foreskins on the baby boys just to make the parents slice them off against the baby boy's will. That is sick. And that is what you call satanic logic, to tell yourself that that's okay, and then to tell yourself that your supposed God only used to be a deranged infant genital mutilationist. Okay? He still is. It's just like today in this world, you have the supposed so-called left, quote-unquote left, and the supposed so-called quote-unquote right. And they're all controlled. And some of them try to look like the good guys on some things and the bad guys on other things. And they have different agendas that they push, that they take turns pushing different agendas to make it look like you have some sort of choice, and that by choosing one, you're choosing one side that's better than another. Okay, a lot of you don't understand that a lot of the Republicans who publicly oppose abortion actually want 95% of all of you to be dead. Okay? They're death cultists. There's a lot of death cultists on both sides. So even a lot of them that oppose abortion, you know, they would have it done to their mistresses in a heartbeat because they're just empty rhetoric, and they actually don't oppose the murder of babies because they want 95% of all of you to be dead. You need to understand that. Okay? You need to understand that our last so-called Republican president, who was a lifetime New York Democrat, who did, by the way, support full-term abortion until it was no longer publicly expedient for him to do so. Okay? You gotta understand they used the Republicans to take us into war. We were supposed to be at war with Iran for years now. Okay? And it wasn't Donald, the orange Antichrist, supposed peace president, who kept that from happening. It was me. And I'm telling you all right now that Ruach HaKodesh says that all non-consensual genital mutilation and all genital mutilation of minors must be statutorily illegalized. Full stop. And the world must understand that this satanic ritual of committing non-consensual infant genital mutilation against the self-defenseless baby boys, it is satanic. It is satanic. Okay? People want to say, oh, hygiene, this, that, one thing or another. Well, you know, you guys, I just had a hangnail that I had to tweeze off, and I did not go get all my fingernails laser removed. You know, are you going to go get your kids' fingernails laser removed so that they don't have to trim them? Because look at how often you have to cut your nails. Okay? What you're doing when you do that to your sons is you're marking them as slaves for Baal. And a lot of the so-called Christians don't understand that the synagogue of Satanists think that you are all supposed to become their personal slaves, that Moshiach was going to give you all to them as their personal slaves, the ones of you that they decided not to genocide. Okay? And the response to that is simply no.